Hi, everyone. It's time for another episode of Maxed Out, Breaking Down the Halls with me, Lorena. And right now, I want to begin with shout out time. This week, I'd like to give a shout out to Bia, who has a Bia Harding fan page on Instagram that I think all of you should check out. So I'm still trying to get over the season 2 teaser. I know it's been a week later, but I'm still thinking about it. How is it possible that those 20 seconds are giving us so many feels? And the pain in their faces, wow. I'm going to need a lot of tissues later this year. And as of this recording, we are down to 148 days left until November 7th. Can we just skip the summer and jump right to November? I'm fine with that. Also, just when I'm finally getting over the teaser, the other big news is the announcement of season 3. The cast, the crew, and everyone involved. You all deserve a shout out this week. Thank you so much. This news has made us all so happy. I must have watched Harriet and Damien's season 3 announcement for like 10 minutes straight. Yeah, I couldn't stop watching it. It was so good, so exciting. Speaking of Harriet, did you all see her latest Dior photos? One word, stunning. And did you all watch Damien's latest show, Softies? I saw some of the fan videos from the premiere, and even though he has so much on his plate, he's so giving of his time, and we truly appreciate you. So getting back to season 2 of Maxton Hall, coming out November 7th, while we know that a premiere is likely coming in Europe, we would love for Prime Video to consider hosting something here in the States as well. There's such a loyal and growing audience in the US, and we would truly cherish such an experience. There's so much love for the show here. I mean, this is why I started this podcast. So I want to dive right over into episode 4. Episode 4 is called The Moment of Truth. Actually, let's just go back to the end of episode 3. So remember, episode 3 ended with Ruby falling asleep in James's arms, and they arrive at her house, and James doesn't know if he's going to wake her up. We don't know what's going to happen. And now it's episode 4, and she wakes up. She looks up at James, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're finally going to kiss. It's such a tender moment. They have such great eye connection. I'm really excited about this scene. And then we realize it's a dream. She's dreaming. We see her sister Ember telling her that the alarm is going off. So Ruby wakes up. She runs over to the bathroom. She takes a whiff of the hoodie that she's wearing. It's actually the lacrosse hoodie that James had given her from the night before. And as she sits there on the floor, Ruby's thinking about, what is she going to text James? What does she say? Does she say thank you? She's just not sure. And then at the same time, we see that James, he's also thinking about the night before. He's lying in bed and he's rethinking all of the things that happened the previous night. And he also realizes that now he knows what it means to lose control of his own feelings. So from here, we see a really cute exchange of texts back and forth between Ruby and James. It's so cute. And he says to her, like, are you feeling better today? And she says that she is, but that she's nervous, obviously, with everything that happened the night before. And more than likely, everyone's going to be gossiping at school. So one of the things that they say in these texts back and forth is, as I said, she's nervous. And he says, don't worry about it, because more than likely they just saw my wet back. And she says to him in the text, then likely everyone had a good night. So let's fast forward. She gets to the school, she gets off the bus, and guess who is standing there waiting for her? James is there waiting for her as she gets off the bus, and he says to her, are you trying to flirt with me, Ruby? So they walk towards the school and they notice that, yeah, people are whispering, and he basically teaches her the Beaufort Code of Conduct, which is basically just not to care, just make them think that you just don't care. And at the same time, we see that James has taken a photo of her, and I thought, oh, that's so cute, because remember in episode 3 when they were at the store and she saw the Victorian dress? He snaps a photo of her too without her realizing it. So the scene shifts over to Lydia, who's working out, and she receives a voicemail from Elaine, who's asking about Ruby. And then the dad shows up and he's got cinnamon rolls, and he says that he got those from the bakery. And I thought, doesn't Ruby's mom, Helen, work at a bakery? Did the dad get them from the same bakery? We don't know. So the dad shows Lydia a photo of Ruby and James from the night before, and he says to her, you know how getting involved with the wrong person can mess up your life. So we learn that Mortimer had to pay off Lydia's last boyfriend because he had photos of her that would have been very damaging to the family name. And then the dad also talks about the new clothing line, and he tells Lydia that maybe she could be the next face. But for now, they need to ensure that James isn't distracted. He's basically referring to Ruby again, and that he doesn't blow the press conference. And he wants Lydia to talk to James. So she does. And James, he doesn't listen. He tells her that he can handle the dad. And he also says to Lydia, at least Ruby isn't my teacher. Ouch. So now a couple of Ruby's classmates, they approach her and they ask her about the night before because rumors are spreading about her and James. Ruby runs over to Lynn and says, yeah, people are talking about us. And she says, but we didn't even kiss. And from there, we see Kieran and James, and we can tell that Kieran, he does not like James. And we then see James, he's helping Ruby with the decorations, and he finds out from Lynn that it's Ruby's birthday the following day, which is actually the same day as the gala. So James tells Ruby that he'll be there when suddenly Kieran runs in and he tells Ruby that the partridges for the meal at the gala, that they've been delivered, which is great, but they were supposed to arrive ready to be eaten. So what's really funny about this scene is that Ruby gives the committee members an order as to where to put the crates. And we hear James say, you heard Ruby. And he goes ahead and grabs a crate. And I remember in episode 1, James is talking about how he's not going to take any orders, not from the headmaster or Ruby Bell. Yet here he is taking an order from Ruby. So yeah, that was pretty funny. So from here, the scene shifts over to Lydia and she's watching Mr. Sutton talk to another teacher. We can tell that Lydia's hurt and she approaches him and she says that maybe they should run off together. And he says, no, that is not a good idea. So now we see Alistair. He's talking to James and he wants to know how Ruby's doing, if she's doing better. And James says that, yep, she's doing better. And he also apologizes for barging in on him and Kesh. And then we see Ren and Cyril, they show up. And I'm thinking, okay, is he going to apologize now for what he did the night before, for throwing Ruby in the pool? But there's no apology. And I'm thinking, okay, is James going to say something? But he doesn't say anything. So I thought that was a little bit odd. Rather, what we do see is that James just gives Cyril a pat on the arm. So I'm waiting for the apology. We'll see what happens in future episodes. So next we see James. He's being driven home and he's smiling as he sits in the back seat of the car. He's thinking about Ruby. He's happy. And then he gets home. He's with his coach and they're going over the speech for the gala. And then we see Mortimer. He's got a photo of Ruby and James from the night before from the pool. And he wants to talk to James and he tells him that he doesn't want him being distracted. And he's referring to Ruby. And that he has invited the press chief over for dinner after the gala. And James says, no, he can't go because he's got the gala and he wants to be there instead. He tells him that he can't be distracted. And he has the nerve to say to James that infatuations, they turn us into idiots. So basically, are you calling your son an idiot? That's what it sounds like. And he tells James too that, is he going to choose a crush that he won't even remember in 2 years, or his family? This is such an unpleasant scene. And then from there, we shift over to Ruby's birthday. I keep seeing happy scene at Ruby's house, miserable scene at the mansion. It's so different, night and day. There are 2 homes. So back to Ruby's house. It's her birthday and the mom hands her a gift and Ruby opens it and inside is a bag with her initials. And inside the bag is a photo. It's actually the photo that James drew of her. So from one happy scene, we're back at the mansion where the twins are having breakfast and And James is feeling bad about what he said to her the day before, and he apologizes to Lydia. He apologizes for when he said to her, well, at least Ruby isn't my teacher, because that was pretty low. And they talk about how he controls their every move and how they wish that they could just swap or switch places so that James goes to the gala and Lydia goes to the press conference. And then from there, we see James. He's heading outside. He spots Percy and he tells Percy that he's conflicted. He wants to be there for Ruby's birthday. He wants to be at the gala, but he has family obligations and he's just not feeling good about all of this. And Percy says to him, that's good. That pain is a signal that you're ready for a change. I'm really liking the relationship that these two have. I like that James feels comfortable talking to Percy. He doesn't have that type of relationship with his dad. We're learning in all these episodes, every interaction that he and his dad have, they're always so unpleasant. So it's so nice to see that there's Percy, this person who's caring, who's warm. It's so obvious that he cares for James. And in episode 5, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I will tell you all about Percy and why I truly love this man, and I can't wait to talk about it. So I'll leave it at that. Back to episode 4. So now the scene, it shifts back to the school and we find out that the birds, they're on the loose and everyone is trying to get them back in their cages. And there's another cute scene here where James shows up and he says to Ruby, happy birthday, Ruby. But it's the way that he says it, it's so cute. And also the way he looks at her. Yeah, such a great scene. Really, really good scene here. So from here, they decide to take a break from trying to fetch all of these birds. And James reveals that he found out that her middle name is Jemima. And then we find out that his middle name is Mortimer, just like his father. And Ruby, she's glancing at him. He's glancing at her. And I'm thinking, okay, are they finally going to kiss now? And she thanks him for the presents. They just look so happy. It's such a cute little scene here. There's so many cute scenes in episode 4, but getting back to them. So they're at the table glancing at each other. And he tells her that he can't go tonight. He can't go to the gala. And he also tells her that he doesn't want to go to the press conference. He doesn't want to take over the family business. He also doesn't want to go to Oxford. And Ruby, she just looks really surprised. He also says to her that she was right about what she said about him the day that they had that big fight in the prep class. He says that I'm nothing more than my name, which is really sad. And from here, Ruby says, what is it that you want to do? What is it that if you could do anything, what would you do? And James has this look on his face as if no one's ever asked him. He looks just kind of stunned that she's asking him. And he tells her that he's not really sure. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And Ruby tells him that people have this moment where they follow their intuition and that those moments, that's what allows us to consider our passion. And James, he just seems so taken back by what she's saying. And they're just staring at each other once again. They're talking with their eyes. They're not breaking that eye contact. And I'm thinking, okay, now are they finally going to kiss? And then guess what? They get interrupted again. This time they get interrupted by Kieran. But let's shift over from that scene there. We go over to the headmaster's office. So Ruby has approached him and she wants to talk about getting James back on the lacrosse team. And guess what? The headmaster agrees, but only if the gala goes well. I really like this gesture from Ruby that she goes to the headmaster trying to see if she can get James back on the team. She realizes that this is one thing that he truly loves. And yeah, just love that she tried to get him back on the team. So the next scene, another cute scene here. We see James. He's leaning up against the wall. He's wearing a blue button-down shirt. His sunglasses are clipped to his top. He's got his cell in his hand. And he's waiting for Ruby to walk over to him. And they just give each other this really cute look. And they talk about how it's a big night for both of them. And from here, we move over to a car scene. The twins, they're heading over to the press conference. And they talk about swapping places, kind of like how they had that conversation back at breakfast, but now they're truly going to do it. They're going to swap so that James goes to the gala and Lydia goes to the press conference. When I heard that, I just had a bad feeling. I was like, oh no, I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm just getting a bad feeling about this. So now the next scene is a slow motion of Ruby. She walks into her kitchen. Her parents are there and she's wearing that Victorian dress and she looks so good. And they're stunned to see her. I mean, they're happy. They're stunned in a good way. So from this scene here, we move over to the gala and we see some of the lacrosse players, they're drinking and they're teasing Alistair because he's looking at a dating app. And we also notice that Kesh, he's getting a little bit jealous, getting a little bit annoyed. And from that scene, now finally James, he's arrived at the gala. He's wearing a baby blue suit. He's looking around. It's slow motion. The music is great. The lighting is great. He's looking around. We know who he's looking for. He's looking for Ruby. He spots her and he has the most endearing smile. And at the same time, the scene shifts over to Mortimer. He's really angry. He's looking at his watch. He's wondering, where is James? He spots Lydia and he says to her, where is James? And she says to him, James is where he's chosen to go, meaning the gala with Ruby. And so has she, meaning she's here at the press conference. So I'm just looking at the daggers coming out of his eyes. So now we shift back to the party, back to the gala, and they're dancing. Ruby and James are dancing, and we see their hands again. I love all the shots that we get of their hands coming together. And actually, the other day, I saw that their director, he posted a photo of their hands with a caption, "Our love language is holding hands." And us viewers, we could not agree more. It's so simple, the showing of their hands together, but it's so intimate at the same time. So going back to them dancing together, they're really happy. And Ruby says to him, what brought you here? Because she didn't think that he'd be arriving. Remember, he told her that he couldn't go. He had to go do the speech. But he says to her, we have 3 hours of your birthday remaining. He wants to enjoy them. So Ruby says to him, I have a surprise for you. She tells him that he's back on the lacrosse team should the gala go well. And James, he just stops. He looks stunned in a happy way. And I'm thinking, okay, now are they finally going to kiss? But guess what? No one interrupts them. The lights go out. I'm like, come on. So they head down to the basement. They see the fuse box. They get the lights back up. So everything's good. And Ruby starts telling him how it's been a pleasure working with him. And James says, it sounds like you're saying your goodbyes. And it kind of did. And they're just looking at each other. You can tell that they're nervous. And James, he could barely hold it together. He's shaking. He's got his foot on the wall. He's trying to steady himself. We see them inching closer together when finally they kiss. And it's so good. I'm really, really happy that this finally happened. They're so happy. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and I don't know where he came from. I don't know how he got there so quickly. I don't know how he knew they were there. Mortimer shows up. He's got a flashlight. He's flashing it in their faces. And he says to James in his nasty tone, so this is what it looks like when you're aware of my expectations. And Ruby and James, well, more so James, he has this look on his face like he just saw a ghost. And I'm worried. This is how episode 4 ends, and I'm worried for them. I'm thinking, what is going to happen? What is Mortimer going to do? We're starting to realize that this is not a nice person. I'm scared for them. So as I said, this is how episode 4 ends. So much happened here once again. A lot of great, cute moments, like James showing up at the bus stop, the birthday presents, the way he says, happy birthday, Ruby. I can go on, but I'm going to stop. Tell me, what was your favorite scene in episode 4? I want to make the podcast as interactive as possible, so please feel free to reach out. All of my contact information is in my show notes. And thank you again for listening. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me each week. And until then, I'll talk to you next week. Have a good rest of the day.